It is a big day, friends. We see the aftershocks of the Hunter Biden felony convictions, up to 25 years in prison. But of course, we know that won't actually happen. We have a lot to talk about that, though. And the Consumer Price Index coming out. That is the U.S. government measure of inflation. So we'll see what they have to say about that and take that with a big grain of salt, of course. And the Federal Reserve meeting happens this afternoon. Now, they probably won't change interest rates, but there are some things that could move markets around pretty big, and that is regarding how many cuts they expect later this year. Also, we have the Irish potato harvest reports coming in. We have truth behind organic produce, which will shock you, and cell phone outages. Lots of reports coming from you guys from all over. Let's jump right into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are your updates. These are your reports coming in from all over the world. A lot of important stuff we need to cover. Let's get into it. Before we do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They help people with retirement accounts get out of stocks and bonds, which might be a good idea right about now, and get over into gold, silver, and platinum. If you have a retirement account and you want to get it to be more safe and more stable, you might want to talk to Jonathan and his team about what they can do with your account. There'll be a link at the end of the video and also in the pinned comment down below for you to get some more information. All right, so Hunter Biden has been convicted of 3 felony gun charges, which is ironic considering how his dad and everyone else in their party seems to be so focused in on locking up people who break gun charges. He was using a little bit and said that he wasn't using it when he tried to get his boomstick. And so this has brought these felony charges. Now, what we all may notice very quickly is that these are the least serious charges that he faces. He's not being charged with sex trafficking of minors. Yeah, there's photographic and video evidence of that. And yet, that's not what he's being charged with. We're also talking about the fact that he should be dealing with bribery charges. Public officials taking in millions and millions on behalf of public officials from Ukrainian energy companies to get favorable treatment from the then vice president. There's a lot of charges that he should be charged with, and the evidence is out there for anyone to see from the laptop, which has been confirmed repeatedly as authentic. So, are we going to see those charges? Probably not, because they implicate other people, more powerful people. So he's getting a slap on the wrist with the least serious charges they could come up with, so it can look like it's even-handed. All right, so we'll see how that pans out, but moving on to things that impact us, inflation. Everybody's impacted by inflation. Everyone who doesn't watch the news is impacted by inflation. You go to the grocery store and you see it. Well, the Consumer Price Index from the federal government is supposed to measure how much you and I are being impacted by inflation. Of course, they monkey with these numbers so that it's so removed from reality. Right now, they're saying we have about a 3.4% inflation since last year. But if you know anything like I do, in the last 4 to 5 years, everything has doubled in price. 100% inflation in the last 4 to 5 years. I mean, pick up any grocery item you want. I have a weak spot for Taco Bell hot sauce. And so I just got some hot sauce from Taco Bell from Walmart, and they're $2 a bottle. They used to be $1 a bottle. Like just a few years ago, they were $1 a bottle. Double the price. And yet, isn't that how everything is going out there? It sure seems to be. So the Consumer Price Index is going to be released in the next couple hours here this morning, and they're expecting, all the economists are expecting it to be at 0.1% for the month over April, right? So May back to April, 0.1%, which would be an annual rate increase of 3.4% for inflation, which, of course, you and I know is completely bogus and stupid. But if this comes in higher, if they're not good at hiding it again this month, it could shock some ivory tower folks. You know, the ones who don't go grocery shopping. They send their manservant to go grocery shopping or something. I don't know. But they don't seem to understand how much prices are going up. But when they see these numbers going higher, they might be shocked into making different choices. Of course, inflation impacts interest rates as well. Speaking of interest rates, the Federal Reserve meeting happens this afternoon, and they're going to announce their policy decisions and stuff such. Everyone agrees they won't raise or lower interest rates at this meeting. So that's probably not going to happen. But they are going to talk about how many interest rates cuts they're going to have before the end of the year. And right now, the consensus is there's going to be 3. But they may come out and start moving people to the understanding that there's only going to be 2 rate cuts over the next number of months this year. And that could shock the market pretty bad. So we'll keep an eye on that. That happens around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard, and it may move financial markets around. If you have money in the markets, you might want to pay attention to that one. All right, the U.S. State Department has announced yesterday that we would start equipping the neo-Nazi Ukrainians with U.S. weapons. Yes, the Azov Brigade with its Nazi SS patches and flags that have been banned from receiving U.S. equipment since 2014 for, good reasons. They're going to start getting U.S. weapons and such. So let's just go over the snap count here. In the past 4 years, under the adult leadership, we are now supporting ISIS against Syria. So, United States supporting ISIS. There's that. And then now we're supporting Nazis against Russia because, reasons. And then we're supporting the Taliban now in order to keep them out of control of the Chinese. So that just shows how principled we are. All the soldiers who died in Afghanistan fighting the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, which we're now supporting Al-Qaeda too in some places, but we won't talk about that. ISIS and Al-Qaeda getting supported in Syria by the U.S. military. Do we have principles? Do we have principles other than make money at the expense of the world? Because it just seems like we really don't have any principles anymore. All of our enemies are now being financially supported by the United States. And every ideology that we said was evil is now not evil because it helps us fight against the people that we're now saying are evil. Our moral superiority has been exposed now as really just propaganda. I mean, there's no way of cutting it other than that. Teresa says no amoxicillin in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. Went to the doctor, couldn't get any. So trying to get antibiotics out there. They said that they won't have any for 2 business days. That is the most popular antibiotic, and they can't get any in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I mean, we're not talking about like somewhere in North Dakota or Alaska, the boonies of Alaska. We're talking about Dallas-Fort Worth. No antibiotics. That's crazy. Sherry in Southwest Louisiana. I got a small bag of birdseed from Tractor Supply, which there's your first mistake. Friends, Tractor Supply has gone downhill quite a bit recently. They've gone woke and their quality has gone down, right? All right, to feed my dove, I'm rehabbing. It's moldy, not the first bag I have seen like this, large or small. It's ready to fly now, and I have to find alternatives to feed the bird. Yep. So, more Tractor Supply issues out there, huh? Paula says Bridgestone Tires in Des Moines, Iowa, laying off 118 people due to less demand for tractor tires. Wow, with all that we know that they're doing to the farmer, somehow this doesn't amaze me. Yeah, I mean, if we're not using up tractor tires, does that mean we're not planting food? One has to wonder, don't they? Unless they're using their flying tractors now, right? Chicken World says, and this is important to know. I mentioned this before about how the organic food out there, they can't use petroleum-based fertilizers. So what they're using is they're using organic bio stuff from water treatment plants, basically human stuff, that they're using on organic farms. And this has been going on for many years. This is why I kind of don't even want to eat organic stuff. Organic human waste carries all prescription drugs in it and heavy metals. People who grow medical on farm fields have had their crops turned down because of the heavy metals they're turning up in the testing of the medical. The heavy metals cannot be removed, so they have to toss it out. Test human food. We should test human food for heavy metals. Hundreds of farms have been closed over the last number of years because they've tested positive for PFAS, or forever chemicals. Basically, that was getting into the water treatment plants, and the water treatment plants were turning it into, organic fertilizer, and then it was spread over the fields. And then when they test the fields, they're like, there's all this nasty stuff in your fields, all these chemicals, because they weren't able to take them out of the water treatment plants. So a lot of these farms have been shut down and have to be remediated, aka they have to strip all the topsoil off and bury it. That's not good. That's the stuff you need to grow stuff with, right? But all that food was consumed by people with all those chemicals and all that stuff. All right, moving on from organic stuff to brake jobs. Chicken World says, I do brake jobs for my friends all the time. Prices around here are $1,000 for a small car to have the brakes done. They're not even done properly. But would have also noticed that they changed the steel in the rotors, and the rotors barely last 6 months. They start getting hot spots in them and rusting, and they cut lines in them. Thank you so much for all your updates and your supporters. May everyone be blessed today. If you guys have updates that you'd like to share with us, please do just type them into the comments on this video or any video on this channel. Make sure you use the word update somewhere in there and give us some sort of geographical location. Especially if you have information from your workplace about things that are going sideways, please let us know about that. Southern Gent says, hey Steve, remember all the cell phone system outages a couple months back? Then yesterday was another major nationwide outage centering in on AT&T and Verizon, and several states' 911 systems taken down, centering in Texas and Oklahoma. Now back to the original not hacks. I received a letter from AT&T yesterday informing me that they had a major data breach in March that could include my username and password, name and address, date of birth, and social security number. From that not a hack. You heard it from this channel. I said that it was quite possibly a hack. But you had the mainstream media getting on there and saying it definitely wasn't a hack because they're saying that there's no evidence to support. Friends, whenever you hear any government official get out there and say there is no evidence to support, they're not saying anything. They're just saying that they haven't seen any evidence that, in their mind, supports whatever they're saying. It's really just a way of saying that something doesn't exist without saying that that's a lie or that's wrong. What they're saying is it's a weird workaround the truth, right? And so notice that phrase when you hear politicians say it, because it's their weasel way so that later they can be like, oh, well, now we've seen the evidence, but at that point we hadn't seen any evidence. but they're saying that they haven't seen it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't evidence out there. They just refuse to read it, right? That phrase drives me a little bit nuts, and yet you'll hear it more and more. It's been a tried and true, tested phrase in politics now. Kathy says, I'm in northeast Pennsylvania near Amish country. Yesterday I went to my pig farmer to get loose pork to make my own sausage. The owners, husband and wife in their late 80s, were the only ones in the store. As the wife checked me out, I asked her how business was. She got tears in her eyes and said, not good. You are my first customer today, and it's 1 p.m. My heart sank, as this farm used to be very busy and used to sell a lot of butchered pigs and ran pig roasts. She also told me that it's not just their farm, it's all the farms around here that are really struggling. People, please buy locally. We're in deep trouble. As the prices at the stores continue to rise exponentially, you'll find that the local farms aren't going up as much in price. So check out your local farms, your local meat markets, because you'll find that you might actually find better deals and a lot better quality. I'm out ASAP says, went shopping a few days ago at Kroger in Middle Tennessee. They've been reorganizing the store for over a month, widening and moving aisles where they never were before. The new aisles were full of dishes, kitchen tools, cookware, greeting cards, stationery, and a huge expanded hardware section. Coffee moved across the aisle from candy and much reduced. Much less produce, no bagged onions in over a month, much more beverages, hugely expanded soda area mixed with water. Wine and beer also enlarged. The meat counter was actually open, but one person working there was mopping the floor as the entire floor was covered with soap at 1:30 in the afternoon. The way they have reorganized the store makes no sense. Items that have nothing to do with each other are now together. They even separated olive oil from all the other oils. Even the workers told me they can't find anything. They can try to hide the lack of food, but they are making it more obvious. From Quigley, the 2023 potato harvest in Ireland has now been branded the worst in living memory. Coming from the place where the potato harvest was, and the potato famine, right? Interesting. And we're hearing bad things coming out of the UK for the planting of potatoes. It's been too wet for them to get them in the ground. Parrot Africa in South Africa, they're having their 2024 elections. South Africa, for the first time, we're going to have a coalition government, and there are going to be talks now. All the parties didn't have enough votes. It could be the ANC, the DEA. So basically, they don't have any clear majority of anything out there. And of course, since the elections have now taken place, that means the power cuts are going to come back. Yeah. Might be a little cynical to see it that way, but it's been amazing how they've suddenly had power leading up to the election, but as soon as the election was over, they started having those power cuts again. Funny how that works. Banana republics are all the same this way, right? Madam K in northeast Wisconsin, the restaurant/sports bar I work at, we get supplies from Badger Foods. No chicken wings. No instant potatoes. Didn't have the 80-20 hamburger. We got 95.5, which is more expensive, but cooks as a drier burger. No shredded cheddar cheese. No sliced Swiss cheese. No tortillas. I was sent to Gordon Foods to get what we didn't get in. No wings there either. Thanks, Steve. So if you want wings, tough luck, because there's just a shortage of them. We talked about that yesterday with our Cisco update. Cisco is saying that the wings are just non-existent out there. So we got all those reports for you. Please keep sending yours in. If you want to get some more information from Genesis Gold, there's a link right there on the screen. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. Thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.